And we have some news just coming in. Prime Minister noted the importance of addressing the issue of economic offenders from India in the United Kingdom. The two leaders have agreed on the need to make progress on issues related to migration and mobility. The Prime Minister has raised the issue of fugitives in the UK with Starmer. These are details that we have right now as far as the bilaterals of the Indian Prime Minister with his counterpart in the United Kingdom is concerned. The issue of fugitives in the UK and wanted by India. This is an issue that Prime Minister Modi, we understand, has raised with the leadership in the United Kingdom. This in the sidelines of the G20 summit. I'm going to go straight across to Gaurav for more details on that story. Gaurav, this is an all-important issue that India has been not missing an opportunity to raise. People who are wanted in India are getting a safe haven in the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister there not mincing the words and saying that this is something that the leadership in the UK needs to look at very closely.
Oh, you're absolutely right. This was the first meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sir Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So while the Prime Minister congratulated Prime Minister Starmer on his assumption of office, he also made one thing very clear, that the two countries need to work together and address the issue of economic offenders from India living in the United Kingdom. So India is very keen that UK make some progress on this issue. Also on the issue of migration and mobility, that's something that India has been stressing on. The United Kingdom needs a lot of engineers and doctors and software engineers, educated people. So their movement from one country to the other, it should be unhindered. Unfortunately, UK has got a lot of people who've illegally moved into that country, leading to a lot of crime, a massive spike in crime. So while that is an issue, India also wants people like Vijay Mallya living in the United Kingdom or Nirav Modi in the United Kingdom and other economic offenders who find safe haven in a country that claims to be a first world country. They should not be able to exploit laws in the United Kingdom and remain fugitives from law in India. So that's a point that India has repeatedly been stressing with multiple administrations in the UK, and it remains to be seen whether, under Keir Starmer, there would be progress in getting people like Nirav Modi or people like Vijay Mallya back into the country to face the law. You know,
Gaurav, a lot is being said about the fact that Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, was actually the Director of Public Prosecutions around the year 2008 when India actually obtained its first extradition of a wanted person in the UK. This is in fact a piece of information that India would in fact derive some hope from as well, isn't it, as far as the attitude of the current political dispensation there is concerned?
You know, that's a very significant point you make. Also keep in mind, as India's stature grows globally, Mr. Starmer also congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his historic third win. This is something that commentators globally are talking about. Now, if you look at the globe and you look at democracies across the world, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today is one of the senior most leaders in the democratic world, repeatedly winning elections. And look at India's rise. Now we are the fifth largest economy. Hopefully, in another 5 to 6 years, we'll be the third largest economy in the world. A country where there's a lot of emphasis that's being laid on manufacturing, getting in new technology. So when other countries seek your cooperation, they also, in such a situation, do what you want them to do when they claim to be rules-based order. So India wants to ensure that fugitives from law in India do not find a safe haven, whether it's in countries like the United Kingdom or in countries like Canada. And India, incidentally, is repeatedly pressing that point. And with Mr. Starmer, as you rightly pointed out, he's somebody who's led prosecution. He's somebody who understands law. And those rather flimsy grounds that a prison cell in India will not have windows and they do not have the same human rights records and so on. All that is very, very flimsy in today's day and age. If a country is really serious about following up on good relations, these flimsy grounds will not work anymore. So let's see if there is forward movement in getting fugitives from law back to India once all the legal process is exhausted in that country.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Gaurav Sawant getting in his perspective on the important story that we are tracking. The Prime Minister and India perhaps taking hope from the fact that Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, was in fact the person, or rather was in favour and the Director of Public Prosecutions when India actually obtained its first extradition of a wanted person since the two countries had signed an extradition treaty way back in the year 1992. The extradition was ultimately blocked in the year 2019. But there are several people in the United Kingdom. I'm going to go back to Gaurav for more on that if Gaurav continues to be with us. Gaurav, for our viewers, do give a perspective as to who are in fact, and there are many people outside of India living in the United Kingdom or treating this country as a safe haven. And India has been asking for their extradition. This is an ongoing and a prolonged sort of legal battle which is underway, isn't it?
It indeed is. While we speak of a couple of cases like Mr. Nirav Modi, like Mr. Vijay Mallya, and there are several others who are the United Kingdom. There are others in other countries. There are some who may be hiding in Antigua. There are others who are living in countries like Canada, and they are exploiting legal systems in those countries. They're fugitives from law. They've looted money. They've looted public money in India and siphoned off a lot of those funds in those countries to those countries, and then continue to exploit those systems. So while India has submitted a lot of evidence to courts in those countries, it's on the principle of merit that India wants extradition to take place, and especially when these countries claim and insist that they are rules-based order and they're rules-based countries. They follow due process, and India has been raising this issue in multiple fora. While bilaterally it's taken up, multilaterally it's taken up. Like, one country cannot remain a safe haven either for terrorists or for fugitives from law or economic offenders, and that is where the world needs to come together and put together a framework that you can't commit a crime in one country and then go and live comfortably in another country, especially when you've looted public money or you're a terrorist. So all of these things India has been pressing over several years. However, if you were to talk about UK in particular, there are cases that go through the lower court, then the High Court, then Supreme Court, then appeals, then government. So it becomes a long-drawn process.
Absolutely. Gaurav, I'll just come back to you in a moment. Ronaldo, hold on to your thoughts, please. We are being joined by Rubinder Sachdev, former diplomat. Thank you so much for your time, sir. How do you respond to the current developments as vis-a-vis the bilateral with the Prime Minister is concerned? Indian Prime Minister meeting his UK counterpart and talking about the need to bring back much wanted fugitives who have, in fact, found a safe haven in the United Kingdom. These are Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, amongst others, who continue to live a life of luxury and comfort in the United Kingdom. India has underscored the need to address this issue of fugitives living there.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, absolutely, yes. I look at it from two prisms. One is, of course, within the UK, economic offenders. People should not be able to game the system, which is very often done, right? And the cases should be followed up with, due speed and due diligence, and in response to India's concerns, absolutely. Similarly, I think this is a reminder, looking at Canada, that, economic offense and other offenses, it's a slippery slope. It leads down to criminal gangs being funded, right? Money flowing and associated issues. So I would look at it in that sense that definitely as economic offenders, but it's not only the Nirav Modis and Vijay Mallyas, definitely yes. But there are countless others, who are indulging in maybe, let's say, hawala transactions, money transfers, which then goes into the grey zone of, not only economic offenses, but also crimes and crimes against India and terrorism.
All right. We're going to leave it at that. I'm going to thank you for joining in with your thoughts, with your perspective on that important story that we are tracking. Fugitives Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi and more continue to be in the UK. India has raised these concerns once again with the United Kingdom today.